Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Prajapati. Welcome to my complete automation course that is from beginner to advanced. If you have ever wanted to automate tasks, connect apps, or build your own workflow, this course is for you. In this series, we start from the very basics, understanding what n8n is, how to install it, and how to create your first one. Not only that, but you will learn how to use triggers, add nodes, data, how to handle ETL, and how to connect tools like Google Sheets, Telegram, or OpenAI without writing complex. Interesting, right? Then we will move to the advanced section where things get really exciting. We will explore complex data flows, sub workflows, advanced technical nodes, error handling, file operations, and even learn how to build your own mini AI agent. On top of that, every concept is explained step by step with live demos and real world use cases. So by the end of this course, you will be ready to automate almost anything that is from personal productivity to systems. Whether you are a student, developer, freelancer, or entrepreneur, this course will help you save time, boost efficiency, and unleash the power of automation. Hey everyone, welcome to this tutorial. Today, we are going to dive into one of the most exciting topics that is no code and automation using n8n. If you have ever wanted to make your apps talk to each other automatically without writing a single line of code, this is the tool for you. In this complete beginner tutorial, I will explain everything what automation is, why we need it, its core concept, and how it actually works. So, here is the introduction to automation. Automation simply means performing repetitive tasks automatically without human intervention. Think about things you do daily, sending follow-up emails, updating sheets, or posting updates. Now imagine if all this could happen on their own. That's the power of automation. In today's fast-paced world, automation helps us to save time, reduce human error, and improve accuracy. And with platforms like n8n, you don't need coding skills, just logic and creativity. So here in this tutorial, we will going to discuss about why do we need automation, what actually the automation is, its core concepts of automation, what is a workflow, and some best practices of automation. So first, why do we need automation? So why do we need automation? Well, because manual work wastes time and resources. Let's say you are a small business owner or a student managing multiple tools like Google Sheets, Gmail, Slack, etc. Without automation, you will spend hours doing boring tasks, copying data, sending reminders, and checking updates. But with automation, all this happens instantly. Allows us to focus on decision making, creativity, and growth instead of wasting time on repetitive stuff. Simply, but automation makes our workflow faster, smarter, and less stressful. So, first thing of automation is data-driven decision. As we know that most people make decision based on feelings or their intuitions, but that's a subjective concept. It's hard to measure and often leads to wrong or biased, that is, prejudiced choices. On the other hand, data-driven decisions rely on facts and logic. They are measurable, objective, and transparent. Automation ensures your data is collected, processed, and used in a right way, improving accuracy and protecting data privacy. In short, automation converts your business from feeling based to database. Also, it requires a very less resources, that is human effort, budget, that is cost, and also your valuable time. And also, it helps to improve reporting plus visibility on return on investment. On the other hand, manual manual tasks needs a lot of resources, budget, your valuable time, and that sometimes lead to waste of resources. So automation, that is the key to being data driven. First of all, manual tasks often cause wastage of time, human error. As we know that if something is done by humans, so the mistakes or error, that is almost acceptable. So also it generates a very low value. Also it requires a high human resources and its requirements. Also of the human or the individual who is performing certain tasks, they might feel exhaust or fatigue, or they suffer from fatigueness. So that's why they generate low employee happiness and retention. On the other hand, if something is done automatically, so everything becomes predictable. Also, there is smooth data availability, like you have a better data availability, your data flows very smoothly between apps. Also, it increased employee efficiency, then that is there is a less chance of mistakes. Also, it focuses efforts on higher value tasks, and as a result, or eventually, it gives much higher return on investment. So now we will see what is automation. Let's define automation in simple terms. That is, automation means creating a set of steps that run automatically based on certain conditions or triggers. So right now, here I have used a lot of hard words, but make sure you sit till the end of the video, and you will going to be understand what this terminology means. For example, when a customer submits a form on your website, their details automatically go into a Google Sheet. An email is sent to them, and the manager gets notified, all without you touching anything. That's automation at work. Let's see the definition of automation. Predictable set of predetermined action that transfer data from one point to another. It might contains a lot of terms that might you not get understand it first. So basically, it is a predictable set that is, as we already said, that the things are very predictable because it follow a fixed path every single time, and predetermined because you set the rule once and it runs automatically. Predetermined action, that is, you have already given a certain pattern or algorithm to the automation tool so that it perform the task on a repetitive mode, and it will transfer your data from one point to another based on certain criteria and conditions. For example, in n8n you can set a trigger, like when a form is submitted, then you find what happens next, whether it goes to a Google Sheet, an email sequence, or directly to a manager. So here is one example that suppose a user fills out a contact form on your website, then he or she will submit the form, that is the form submission, then it will go to what kind of company it is. Then if they will check that there is no data for any company, then ignore it. If it is has a very low value, then add to email sequence. If it has high value, then add to Google Sheet. And if it is a very ideal customer or genuine, or we can say premium customer, then give it to account manager as soon as possible. So generally, what kind of company is our trigger? Low company, low value, high value, ideal customer. This arrow or this, or we can say the flow chart is our filter data, and then we will generate certain outcomes. So these are our actions that also we are going to discuss its terminology later on. Now we will see some core concepts of automation. Now let's move into the heart of n8n. This is the heart of n8n. There are generally four key parts you must understand. First is trigger, which decides when your workflow starts, on what criteria, or on which pattern your workflow will going to start, what actually there is in the workflow that will let your automation works. Then second is filter, which control which data passes through. Then third is action, defines what tasks should be done. And fourth is mapping, it will connect from one step to the next. So let's begin. First is trigger. Trigger are the starting points of an automation workflow in a time. They define when and how a workflow should begin running. So basically, in previous example, here we see a form submission. So it is our trigger that if a user fill a form based on certain feedback or any school or college registration form for an event or sports tournament, when the user submit the form, then the form submission is our trigger. Then our workflow will start and then we'll move to other criteria for checking. So then here there are certain types of trigger. First is manual trigger, which activate by the user manually, used mainly for testing or one-time execution, like click execute for a flow in n8n editor that we will be going to discuss in later videos. Second is scheduled trigger, that is also known as Cron. So it runs automatically at specific time intervals. For example, every day at 9 a.m. Like every day at 9 a.m. My workflow will start automatically running. Then also we can set in on every hour or every Monday. That is, we should have to fix our time for trigger to start running. Then it's ideal for routine tasks like daily reports or to generate backups on certain apps like WhatsApp and all. And third is application trigger. Here we can also have application or webhook or event which triggered by external apps or service which required another application, that is the third application or the third party will involve here. For example, Slack trigger, Gmail trigger or webhook trigger which perform based on their significance and also based on the action of the trigger. Then our second thing is filtering. Filtering is used to allow or block certain types of data from following a path based on certain conditions. So filter helps you to define rules. For example, only continue the workflow if the company name equals, for example, let's say ABC Private Limited, or if the email address contains like xyz@gmail.com. It's like a checkpoint that ensures only the right data moves forward, keeping your automation clean and efficient. In the previous example, what kind of company, that is our filter. Like if the company has no company, like there is no any data of any company, then we have to ignore it. Then if has low value, then we have to move to this tab, or high value then this tab. If it is ideal customer, then we have to send it to the account manager instantly right away. So this is the work of filter. Then there are action are the task or operation performed after a trigger in a workflow. This is the following sequence or part of uh, a trigger and filter. So it required certain application which helps actions like Google Sheet, which update rows when there are certain modification in the rows. Then create sheet or get or fetch the spreadsheet. Then we can in Dropbox application we upload, or we can get our file, or we can download it, or we can create it. In Slack we get the data of user, we send the message, or we get the message also in Salesforce. These are the some applications which works based on the action part of the workflow. Then we will see what is a workflow and how it really works. So basically, one thing here I would like to tell that triggers, filters, and actions. When just that we already discussed, when the all the three things come into contact, then it calls a workflow. It is like a chain of connected nodes, each performing a specific job. It might start with a trigger, then it filter data, and then finally perform some actions based on the sorting and transforming of the data in the filter section. For example, if the form is submitted, check if the company is valid or not. If yes, then update the sheet, send confirmation email, and notify the team. That is one complete workflow. In this example, we will see that sometimes every day at 8 a.m. and when this happen or when these things get launched in the market or if the deployment has been done on certain products. So these are the triggers. Three here I told you some examples of trigger or some conditions that what actually defines the trigger. Then comes our sorting, filtering, formatting, transforming and segmenting based on the particular criteria. So generally means the filter. This is all the things are covering in a filter section. So if this thing, like when we see that if this is happen, if this is present, then this thing will generate like if 10 people would be there, then they will get certain percent of discount. So these are the things which filter offers. Then also it modified like change X to Y. If these people are like if family if this number of families has come over 1 lakh, then call them rich family or above class families. So these are the example of it, and then action based on that when the trigger start, it filter out some data based on our conditions, and then it generate actions like update a Google Sheet if this number of row has been added after some time, or if this number of employees has present, then send an email to them. If a new member has added, then notify that person, or also notify the manager that someone has come to fulfill the vacancy. Then we will see how uh, there are some best practices for automation, that how the automation work. Now, before you start creating your own workflows, here are some best practices that you should follow. First thing is keep your workflow simple and clear. Second, always test with sample data first. Then use descriptive names for nodes and variables. Fourth, add filters and errors checks to avoid unwanted results. And the last but not least, document your workflow for future reference. Then following these small steps will help you avoid confusion and make your automation reliable. Now we will move to the most important part, and that is mapping. Mapping is the first step to any good automation. Like mapping means passing data from one node to another. That is like creating a flow or a map. So, for example, when you get an email address from Google Sheets, you can map that email directly into the Gmail node to send messages automatically. It's basically connecting the output of one step with the input of another, allowing smooth data flow between your applications. So, here how mapping actually works. So, by using a flow chart, like list every different part of a process as a block. Here we see form submission, what kind of company, then all the rectangular rectangular structures. These all are blocks, and we separate them or link them with the help of arrows that how each and every block that is the our rectangular structure or shape, how they interact with each other. So this was the basic of the n8n no code automation workflow. So we covered everything from the basic of automation to trigger, filter, action, workflow, and mapping. This video, we are going to step into one of the most important parts of automation. It's two main notions, and they are APIs and webhooks. And we will understand how systems actually talk to each other behind the scene. So here in this video, we are going to discuss about what is an API, its definition, its components, and what is the meaning of webhooks. So what is an API? Let's start with the term API, which stands for Application Programming Interface. In simple words, it's like a messenger that helps two different software systems communicate with each other. To make it easy to understand, let's take a restaurant example. So here, how do you get food? So whenever you go into the restaurant, you ask the waiter for the food. He will go into the kitchen by taking your order, and he will come back with the response that he will bring your ordered food or milk. So here we will understand what is the actual definition of uh, API. So here an API, application programming interface, exposes a service. Developers write programs to consume it. So when we say API expose a service, it means that API offers certain features or data that other programs can use, and developers or programmers create software that asks API for that data or feature and uses it in their app. So uh, let's understand in a technical term. So basically, here when you give orders, so in between there is a channel. Here in our example, it was a waiter, but in technical term, it is a interface, and it goes to the application. Here, our application was kitchen. So basically, interface generally takes your res response and sorry request and and basically the interface take your request to the application and bring back a response for your query. So why we use API? Because without an API, your program would need to know how other program works internally, which is hard and messy. And with the help of API, you just follow simple instructions. So that is the documentation to get what you need. So you don't need to care about the inner workings, the API handles for you. In our example, we use the menu that as our documentation, that is our guide, so we can get the idea of how an API actually works. So now we will move further and we will going to understand what the technical terms of the API. So here, when I say the client, so client is basically the user which send a request to the interface or the server. So here our interface and applications are the server which accept the request and bring back response. So now we are going to understand what are the concept of request. So there are majorly four components to an HTTP request. So these are URL, method, header, and body. So we will going to understand them very deeply. So first of all, URL, so Uniform Resource Locator. It is the unique location for resource on the web, like for page, image, PDF, etc. So here in this example, HTTPS colon slash slash, as we see that here we have created a separate part so we can understand it easily. So here first part is the scheme. So it tells the browser which protocol to use. Usually HTTP or HTTPS are the most utilized. So then www.google.com, this is the host or domain name. It points to the server where the resource lives. Then dot 443, this is the port, and this is the optional part. And if it is not mentioned, then the browser uses the default ports like 80 for HTTP or 443 for HTTPS. Then comes our slash search. This is the path, or we can say endpoint. Points to a specific resource on the server. Then comes our the last part, and that is the query parameters. They pass additional information to the server, like what to search for in this case. So every URL has these parts that together tell your browser exactly where to go and what to request. Then second is method. So method defines what you want to do. So there are basically it's four parts: get, which retrieve your data; post, which sends your data; put or patch, which update or modify your data; delete, that remove your data. For example, we use post to send data to an API endpoint. Then comes header. Header contains key value pairs which send to the server with the request. So basically, header contains extra information like content type or authentication. So then here come our body and the final part, credentials. So body is the actual data you send. Mostly we send into the post or put. So basically, for example, my name, that is Darshan, and my email, that is Darshan at the rate example.com. So it basically work in that way. And finally, this is our credentials. So credentials stores secure authentication details that in our case n8n. So here there are certain types like API key, basic AUTH, that is basic auth, OAuth2, etc. These are some type, and prevent generally hard coding sensitive information in workflows. For example, reconnecting to Slack or Jira API securely, because in n8n, so in order to create some workflows, we need to connect our Slack to use the Slack bot or Jira. So this API key and basic auth and over to these credentials help to secure our data and other information like ID and all. Then it comes our next part, that is components of a response. After sending a request, the server processes it and sends back the response with three main parts. First is status code, header, and body. First of all, we will understand what is status code. So it indicates the result of the request, that is whether it is has succeeded or failed. For example, if it shows 200, then it's success; 400, then it's a bad request; 401, that we sometimes see in our mobile phone, or when you open the website 401, so means that it's an unauthorized website or the request. Then 500, it simply means that it is a server's error. Then it comes header. So header includes information like content type or server name and server info. So and the final thing is body, the actual data returned from server. Usually it is in a JSON format. Here we can see an example. Then we will see what is the webhook. Generally, it is the inverse of API, like vice versa. So uh, in Well, let's see its definition. So, a webhook is a way for one application to send real-time data to another when an event occurs. So, simply a webhook is a way, uh, um, it's an event. Basically, webhook is a event-based function, which means that you don't have to request data pushed you to do instantly. Think of it like in API, you ask for updates. That's called pulling. In webhooks, data comes to you automatically when an event occurs. That is the pushing. Let's take a real world example. Let's imagine you have created a Google form. Every time someone submits the form, a webhook sends that data immediately to n8n. n8n can then automatically save it to a database or send a message on Slack. And all these things happen without any manual function. So basically, API, you request data, and webhook data is sent automatically to you. Okay, so let's see how API and webhooks power automation works. So basically, I will show you what is the webhook and how it looks. Here we will type for webhook and we will click on this, and here it generate its this panel. So here we can see test URL, that is our URL, and this is basically my URL. So here we can see our all the request and response will generate. So in this format, our request will be go and it comes back with another help of the another application like Slack. So it generates the response. So it is the way these things actually work. In the last video, we talked about what APIs are and how webhooks actually work in automation. And in today's videos, I'm going to take you one step further by showing you how to create your own account on n8n. So let's jump straight in. First of all, we have to open our browser and we have to type n8n.io. Okay, so we will do then we have to click on sign up option. So we have to find the sign up option and then we have to enter our details, and then we have to accept the term and privacy policy, that is the checkbox that we have to agree. Then we have to verify our email, that is through your mobile phone or your mailing box, where we have to click on the verification that could be sent by n8n. Then we have to log into n8n. We have to use our verified email and password to log in. Then we can access our dashboard after login, where we can see our n8n workflow dashboard will be ready to use. So let's do that. First of all, open the web browser, whichever you are using. Then here you have to type n8n.io. Then here you can see the main link. So you have to click on it. Here you will see the get started option. If you already have the account, then you can use sign in option. Here I am a totally new, so I will click on get started. You see the panel like this. Here I will give my full name, company email at gmail.com. Now I will confirm it. Here I have to create a password. You can create based on your preference. Here I will create my account name, that would be Anakin user 30. Now here I have to click the checkbox to agree the terms and conditions. Now start free 14 days trial. Here they provide you 14-day free trial, so you can create whatever number of workflows you want to create within 14 days, then you have to move to the paid version. So what is the size of your account? Here I will select only me. Yeah. Next, you have to answer some questions here. What team are you on? What best describes your company uh, automation agency? I will select it. You can select based on your preferences. Which of these do you feel comfortable doing? I will say configuring API authentication or setting up a webhook. How did you hear about n8n? So I will select through word of what apps do you use? So I will select Slack, AI agent, HTTP request, Google Sheets, OpenAI. Then I will now continue. Even you can skip this. Here I have to just start automatically. So our account is created. Here you will see the plus sign. If it is visible, then congratulations, you have successfully in. So start from scratch. And here we see our at first step. So our automation workflows account is successfully created. So here I can search for any node like Slack, like on any event, and here I can uh, complete all the details by fulfilling it, and then I can create it. We will see how to uh, fulfill these details in the panel, and then we will create our first workflow. Thank you. We learn how to create an account in n8n to build our workflows. Now in this session, we are going to talk about one of the most fundamental concepts in n8n, that is node. If workflows are like living organisms, then nodes are the cells, smallest building blocks that make everything work. So, what exactly is a node? A node in n8n is a single step or action in your workflow. Think of it as an instruction block. It tells n8n what to do next. For example, if you want to get new emails from Gmail, then you have to extract the subject line, then you have to send it to the Slack. Each of these steps, that is Gmail to transform to Slack, would be a separate node. And the Gmail transform Slack, this would be the title. Building block, that is the atom of n8n. Here it is work like that. You can connect them together to form bigger molecules, or in our case, the workflows. Each node performs a specific job, fetching data, transform the data, or sending it elsewhere. There are three main categories of nodes in n8n. First is entry point, second is function, and third is exit point. So the entry point nodes is start your workflow. For example, webhook trigger. When an API call it's a URL. Cron node starts on a schedule, then there is a manual trigger when you run the workflow manually. Think of this as the start button for your automation. Then comes function node. This handles the logic or transformation part. For example, a set node or function node can format your data, it can add new fields, or it can apply certain filters or conditions. It's like the chef in your automation kitchen. It will take raw ingredients, that is your data, it will let it to the kitchen, that is your application, and then it will prepare the insights for you and it will serve to you. Then it comes exit point nodes. Finally, it send the data out of n8n, like sending a Slack message, writing data to Google Sheet, sending an email. These are like the delivery agents of your workflow. They ensure your final output reaches the right destination. Then there are different types of nodes. Beyond categories, nodes are also grouped by their purpose of or function. Trigger node, first of all, start the workflow automatically. For example, when a new form is submitted, then will generate an action. Then comes the action nodes that perform the task inside the application. For example, like create a new Trello card, or like transformation nodes, it will modify or clean your data. For example, merging of data, filtering fields, or changing the transforming the formats. Then flow nodes, it controls your how your workflow runs. For example, the condition like if else, wait, whether your data have to wait somewhere or merge. Then comes file nodes, it handle files like PDFs or CSVs. Then advanced node finally handle complex logic like HTTP requests or code functions. Each of these nodes play a special role in making your automation smart and dynamic. So once your node is configured, you can execute individual using the play button. So you can see your play button usually in a panel that is also called the open node in the settings. So here you can see a execution option where you can simply like a play button. So you can click it and you can execute the specific node. So first, as we discuss open node where you can view or edit your node configurations, then execute node, then rename node, deactivate mode. This will work based on their names. Then pin node where you can keep its output visible, then copy or duplicate. So you can reuse your configurations very quickly. Then delete node. These small actions make workflow management super smooth and flexible. Now there are certain parameters where you define what the node should do. For example, resource, the app or service like Gmail, Slack, or Google Sheet. Then there are operation, the specific task. They perform a specific task like sending message, then creating grow, then how to get or fetch the email. Then there are credentials, the credentials that API key. So it's just like an ID and password. So you can uh, connect you one model to your node like OpenAI to your node to your workflow so they can if you want to access the OpenAI then you have to enter your API key that also I will show you in the live demo later on. Here, just understand that it's like a connector, like it connects your workflow to another application. So you can use their basic functionality or the platform. Then action settings, it adds extra details depending on the operations. So here I will show you the live demo of how to enter your node and how it basically works. So here is our screen and here we will take a real world scenario. So for example, if I want to create an AI agent or a workflow related to AI where I can simply give a message or a prompt and they reply me back. And also in the later videos, we will discuss that how to add certain its automations, more advanced features. Now, right now we will discuss the basic function of nodes that how to add the node and how to modify it and how it really works and how it generates the output. So let's get started. So first of all, we will see the big plus sign. So we have to click to add the first step. Here we will select on chat message. Simply we have to click on to canvas. The whole page is called a canvas where you can add or modify your node where you will create your whole workflow. Then we'll click on this plus. Here I will go to AI and then I will select AI agent node. So here also I will keep it as it is and I will click to back canvas. Then now here I have to add a chat model. So here I will click on it. Here there are a lot of LLM models. Whatever you can use, there are Google Gemini, AWS Bedrock, DeepSeek. Here I will use the OpenAI chat model. Here one thing I would like to show that here you have to create a new credential. Here I have already created one. So here if you want to use a particular version of any chat model here for OpenAI, then you have to insert your API key. For that, you have to go to the particular website, and then you have to no, you log in into that AI model, and then you can see an option of API key, and so that you can access the version of that particular LLM model. So, and one thing you have to keep in mind that you have to keep your API ID very safe. You do not have to share it with anyone because if you let someone know your API key, then they can misuse it and you have to pay for it. So here I have already n8n free API credits. So here the n8n platform provide you certain numbers of API credits, so you can use that here, particularly in order to access this particular version. I select the 100 credits option. So that will also I will show you in the later. So now I will click on to canvas. Now I will on chat. Then here I will simply type hello for successfully and it replies me with hello, how can I assist you today? So this is the basic function of how node connect with each other with a different node, how to put conditions, and how actually we have to do some modifications based on our requirement. In the later videos, we will create a full version of this AI chatbot. So for that, here one thing I would like to show you. This is the thing. Here you can see get 100 free open AI API credits. So you simply just have to click on claim credit. So it will automatically select the particular version available within the 100 API credits. So here they selected OpenAI 4.1 mini for me. So they can also select that particular for you, or they will use another one for you. So this was what the node it is and how the fundamental thing it is. And with that, if you want to start to build workflow from the scratch, then nodes are the first thing that we have to keep in mind. And this is called the fundamental body or structure of the workflow or of anything whole community. In this tutorial, we are going to learn all about triggers in anything. By the end of this video, you know how and when your workflow actually starts through manual schedule, webhook, and app schedules. So basically, what is the trigger? So trigger simply decides when your workflow starts. It's the first step that tells n8n, hey, it's time to run this workflow. Without a trigger, nothing happens. So it's like pressing the start button before the automation takes off. Every workflow begins with one trigger and continues with actions that follow. Now we'll see what are the types of triggers. So basically, there are four main types of triggers in n8n. First is manual trigger that is used for testing. Second, schedule trigger for time-based automation. Then webhook trigger for receiving external data. Application trigger for events coming from connected apps like Google Sheets or Gmail. Let's check each one practically. So first of all, manual trigger. Manual trigger generally it's exactly what it sounds like. The workflow only runs when you manually click execute workflow. It's commonly used during the development or testing. So you can check your steps and debug without automating just yet. Think of it as a workflow's play button. You are in full control. Let's take an example of manual trigger in our n8n website. Simply you have to open this page. Now you will click on the big this symbol of plus. Here I will search for the manual trigger. Now here I will click on plus. I will add another node that is that node. Here I will click on add field value. Here I will send message. Here value. Now I will execute this step. Here it says node executed successfully. So here I will check. that here I'm showing that manual execution runs successfully. It means our manual flow runs completely. Now we will see schedule trigger. For that we will move back to our PPT. Okay, so now we'll see what is schedule trigger. So if you want your workflow to run every minute daily at 9 a.m. or every Monday, you can do that using cron expressions for custom timing. That would be perfect for regular reports, reminders, or syncing data on a set schedule. So now we will see how it will done practically. Now we will again click on this plus sign again here. Now we will add another node, that is real trigger. Here I will choose trigger interval in minutes to cap b of 1 minute. I will go back to canvas, add again set node. So I will add message value. Okay. Now I will execute it. So here again one node executed successfully. We will wait for 1 minute and we will again check it that whether our execution had run completely or not. For that we will click on execution. So here we can see our node has run successfully here at 10:46, 10:47, again 10:48, 10:49. Okay, so now we will see what is webhook trigger. So we will back to again PPT. So now we will see what is the webhook trigger. So this type of trigger starts a workflow when external data is sent to a webhook URL. Think of it like this: a form that's submitted or an external app sends data in VAM. Your workflow kicks off in real time. Webhooks are ideal for instant, real time automation that react to events outside your system. Now we will see an example to showcase what actually webhook trigger is and how it works in workflows. So we will again move to the n8n canvas. Here we will click on the plus sign again. We will search for webhook trigger. We will copy this to test URL for testing of the webhook trigger. Now here we will click on set plus. We will search for this set node. We will give on again message and then we will give our value, that is webhook. Okay. Now if we click on here and workflow was started. Now you can see our webhook executed successfully. So for that you have to move to another browser tab. You have to copy that URL, sorry, paste that URL, and then you have to come back to the automation canvas. So you can see our webhook executed successfully. Now we will see what is on the final, that is application trigger, and finally trigger. These are events triggered by connected apps. For example, a new row is added in a Google Sheet, a new email arrives in Gmail, a new database entry in Notion. These all are the example of application trigger, and these all work with the help of the application trigger. So application usually require account authentication, so make sure your apps are connected properly. Okay? Because it requires the connection of another application. So for that you have to make sure your account authentication is present. For that we will move to our canvas again. So here we can click on the plus. Now here we will search for application that could be Google Sheet. Here we click on Pro Edit. Now here we will click on our third account. If you want to create a new credential, you can click on here. You can sign in with Google and it will automatically save it. For now, I will use my email account. That is Google Sheet Trigger account 3. And here I will paste my document by URL. Where you can select it from list or through ID. Now I will select the URL of sheet. So in this way you can create for application trigger. So basically among all application trigger requires a lot of credentials and is also time consuming, but all the four triggers are very easy to create. Thank you. Learned about triggers. That is how automation, how workflow starts automatically. What happens after the trigger point? That's what we are going to explore today. Friends, by the end of this video, you will understand what actions are, the types of actions available, and how to create one unique scenario. So let's jump right into it. First of all, let's see what are actions. So what exactly are actions? Actions are simply tasks that happen after a trigger occurs. Let's define what happens next. For example, sending an email, searching a database, or posting a message to Slack. Every action monitoring is through workflow. We find nodes like email, Google Sheets, Skype, and message requests. Check this performs with specific tasks. For instance, imagine you are triggering a new form submission. You need to send information to the user. So in short, trigger is equal to when something happens and action is what to do. Now, we can what are the types of actions. So basically, there are mainly four types of actions. Not communication actions, but data actions, but integration actions, and for utility actions. Let's understand that. First of all, what is communication action? So this includes sending emails, messages, or notifications. For example, you can automatically send a thank you email whenever someone likes a form. Second, data action. This involves working with data, like adding, updating, or deleting records in a database or Google Sheet. Third, integration action. This connects to platforms and transfer data between them, sending links from Google Forms to Airtable. Fourth is utility action. It performs helpful operations, adding delays, merging data, or perform calculations in your work. All these types help make your workflow smarter and more powerful, combining lets you automate almost anything you can use. So basically, this was the end portion of the can let you know the terminology of systems, types, and how it actually works. So now in the live demo, we're going to see how it actually works inside the network. So I have already created a workflow here. Trigger is a manual trigger that runs every minute. This is what the basic in the last video basically related to that. Basically, I will put the new Google Sheet user here. You can see one place here. I will click and hold it, drag it. Now here I will search for Google Sheet. You can see here I have already chosen my Google account. So you have to know how to create one. I have explained it in the previous video regarding videos, so you can watch it. Now I will add title. Okay. Now here there is currently a sheet Excel. So I have one for that. I have to type. Okay, now I will explain now I will work from here. Also, to copy this URL, browser it, you can see how a new page has been created, how you can edit anything and you can share it. Basically, you see how to create one Google Sheet. That is our next step after the manual triggers. So, with the help of Excel, you can view the next step after trigger. So basically, this was the video about. Okay, thank you for today. Two super important topics, that is data transformation and data mapping. These are the backbones of clean and reliable automation workflows. So let's get started. First of all, we will see what is transformation. So data transformation simply means changing or cleaning data to make it useful. For example, if someone enters the name with the extra space or age in text, we can clean it up and make it consistent. Here you can see we change darshan to darshan, that is D capital, and converted age from a string to a number. This helps keep data organized and ready to use in automation. Now we will see why transformation is important. So because automation depends on clean and consistent data, if your data isn't in the right format, your Google Sheet, database, or API might show errors. Transformation makes sure everything runs smoothly, saving you a lot of manual work later. So now we will see what are the some useful nodes for transformation. And these are the set node help us create or edit fields quickly. If we need more control, the function node allows custom JavaScript logic. When combining data from two sources, we use the merge node. And if we need to process a list one by one, splitting batches is perfect. Together, these make our workflow flexible and powerful. Now we will see some real world use cases. So let's say you collect customer data from a form before uploading it to your CRM. You can clean names and emails automatically, or if you have timestamps, you can convert them into readable date format. You can also calculate totals or normalized survey results for reports. These transformations make your automation more accurate and efficient. So now we will move to mapping. So after transformation, our new topic comes mapping. Mapping means connecting one field to another. For example, if your form has a field called first name, but your CRM expects customer.name, so you simply map one to the other. It helps both system understand each other, like translating data from one language to another. Now we will see some mapping tools available in n8n. So, so here we can directly drag and drop fields using expression inside node, that is using set node, and in function node we can do complex mapping or nested structure, that is a structure, and uh, in it there is another structure, that is substructure. Then in merge node we can combine multiple data sources, and in the respond to webhook can return or forward our map data. Now we will see some real world use cases of data mapping. So mapping is useful in many real world workflows. You can make customer details from a website form to your CRM, or convert order data into an invoice structure. You can even align API responses before saving them to your database, or send IoT, that is Internet of Things sensor readings, to a dashboard in the right format. So now we will see a live demo for data transformation in the n8n screen. So let's move there. Now here we will see an example of data transformation. For that we will take one node trigger manually. Now we will add its set node. Here I will add a field, and here I will put this on. And now here I will add my name, value, version, another add field here, marks 20. Now I could check. First of all, I will execute this step. We are showing you the name version and marks 90. Now we have to add another node, and we here want to add our grade, and also one condition that if my marks is above 40, then it will show pass, otherwise fail, and result also get result. Now we will see. Now we will for that I will add another set node. Here I will add field. Here I will add student name. Here I will add value, that is curly bracket. For that I have to uh, move to expression. Now expression. Now here I will type dollar sign, JSON, big bracket, marks. And if here outside my condition, that is if it is equal to or above 40, then write pass, otherwise fail. Okay. Now again here I will execute the step one. Here it runs successfully. Now I will execute also here, and I will see my output here, that student name and pass. Sorry, one thing I forgot to add my name. Here student name. For that we will write code, dollar sign, JSON, big bracket, name. And here now add field. Here we will add our grade, that is result. Now I will execute back to canvas. Now execute execute the workflow, and now here it's showing that student version and result pass. In initial it showed me that our student name is Darshan and marks is 90. Now I change it. So here it will show Darshan in the result based on JSON code. So this was the data transformation. Now in next video we will discuss about what is error handling and what are the major steps of technique that most of the n8n creator using to just let go of the errors, and make sure they take some steps in order to avoid some errors which uh, uh, that stopping their code or their workflow to get success. Something super important in any time. That is error handling. Whether you are building automations for business or personal projects, errors are bound to happen. But don't worry. n8n gives us powerful ways to control, manage, and respond to those errors instead of letting them break your workflow. By the end of this video, you will know 6 major ways to handle errors in n8n. So let's get started. Now we will see what is error handling in n8n. First of all, it is a mechanism that defines how n8n should behave when a node or a workflow fails. On top of that, instead of completely stopping or crashing, you can control what happens next. For example, you can tell n8n that the stop the whole workflow if this node fails, or retry automatically a few times before giving up, or even continue and skip the fail step. These give you total flexibility and ensures your automation doesn't break due to one small error. Now we will see the major six types of error handling techniques in n8n. First is stop workflow, second is retrieve and failure, third is continue and fail, fourth is split error route, fifth is field agent through LLM, and sixth is error workflow. Now we will discuss them one by one. So basically, first is stop workflow. So this means whenever a node fails, maybe an API request times out or function node has a syntax error, the entire workflow stops right there. This is idle when you don't want to process incomplete or corrupted data. For example, if your create invoice step fails, you don't want to send an email saying the invoice was created, right? So stopping the workflow helps maintain data integrity and it will let you fix the problem before continuing. So now we will move to the second error handling technique, that is retrieve and failure. So sometimes errors are temporary, like a network lag or slow API response. In such cases, stopping the entire workflow is unnecessary. With retrieve and failure, you can set how many times you retry and how long to wait between frames. For example, retry 3 times, wait 5 seconds between each try. This makes your automation much more reliable and self-healing, especially for external API calls or database writes. Now, the third type is continue when fail. Here, even if a node fails, the workflow doesn't stop. It keeps executing the next node. You might use this when the fail step is optional. For instance, if an email sending load fails, but you still want to log the data in Google Sheets, you can continue. This keeps your automation smooth and avoids complete stops for small errors. Now we'll see the fourth type, that is split error route. So basically this enable uh, Now we will look at split error route. So when you enable this, a node will have two outputs, one for successful execution, second is one for errors. This allows you to design parallel paths, one for success, another for handling failure. For example, if an HTTP node fails, you can use the error route to send a Slack alert, save the error details in a database, or notify a team member. This is a super powerful when you want to take smart actions after an error. Now, the fifth is fallback agent through LLM. So here a really cool use case, fallback agent using LLM, that is large language model. So using this, you can create a separate branch in your workflow using an AI agent node that catches errors and automatically responds for such a stuff fix. Take an instance, if your function node fails, LLM can receive error message, analyze it, and tell you why it happened, or even generate a corrected version of your script. This adds intelligence to your workflow and acts like your personal troubleshooting assistant inside Unity. Now, last but not the least, the sixth is error workflow. So basically, the most comprehensive method, error workflow, which separate workflow that triggers automatically whenever another workflow fails. You just create a new workflow and the error trigger node and You just create a new workflow, add the error trigger node, and configure it to catch errors from other workflows. Inside, you can add nodes to log errors, send alerts via Slack, or save them in Notion or Airtable for future reference. So I think this is a perfect for teams or production system. It gives you a centralized way to monitor and respond to any failure. Now we'll look at a live demo. We will run each and every workflow for the six error handling techniques, and we will see by doing some mistakes also, so we can know how actually the original workflow run without error, and how whenever error get occurs, so how it will going to be response to each and every particular that error. So let's move to the screen. Now here I will first of all add another node, which is HTTP request, and here I will add my one URL. Now I will execute this step and it runs successfully. Now what I will do, I will just copy this and paste it here. It will give me a image of a dog. Now it means that it had run successfully. Now what I will do is here just I will make an error and now I will execute the step and it will generate the error. Now here we are not going to now n8n doesn't allow us to fix this error because it will stop the whole workflow. So this will stop the whole workflow and we are not going to uh, modify the n8n workflow anymore. So it is just like the end of the program. Now we will see the example for second workflow. Now again I will add my step request. Again here I will type my URL. Now again I will execute it. That run successful. So now I will make an error here and in settings I will just retry on fail. Here we can see that maximum it will try for 3 times and it will wait for 1000 milliseconds, that is 1 second between each try, that is the interval. Now I will execute. Uh, So see the if node will automatically retry if it fails. So first time here we got an error, so it will retry it and it will send us an error message for 3 times. It is just like the first one, but the only difference is that first one will stop forever, and this will try for the mentioned above mentioned tries, that is three, or even if you can give 5 10, so they will try for that. So because what happens sometimes the errors are, as I said, that is due to some technical error. So for that they give us the chance that you can run the entire program for at least this number of tries, so you can sometimes you get your required output. So so if the try get above this number or this spirit mentioned price, then it will stop it forever. Now we'll see our third part, that is continue when failed. For that also I will add HTTP request. Here again I will give the URL. I will execute it and it executed successfully. Now I will go into the setting and on error I will just press continue. Now see, and now I will change the text. Okay. Here still it has error, still the node executed successfully. Here you can see that if I click on execute workflow, even it has a lot of errors. Here there was only one, but if your code has the maximum or lot of number of errors, still it will flow continually without any showing any error. Now we will look at the fourth error handling, that is split error route. So they will split the error. First is edit fields and second, for example, Gmail. So they will send the error message into the our account. Like for, for that, we will first of all add the HTTP request here. It's dog image. I will execute it. It runs successfully. Go back to canvas. Now here, just we will add another, that is Gmail, another node. Here's random message. Here I will write my email address. And now here we will going to add the subject. This is error. And here the message that automation has error. Now I will execute it and it has run successfully. Now even I can go to the Gmail and here it will be going to show me the error. Yeah, that automation has error. And the subject is error. So it means our fourth error handling technique is run successfully. This way, you can get notified with the error so that you can get idea that what really has to be modified without make the automation stop. Now we will look at our fifth error handling technique, that is fallback agent LLM. So here there is one motive that if one LLM doesn't work, we can use another one as a backup. So here, as we see that here I had used OpenAI chat model. I will open chat. Here I will simply type hello message, and they reply me that hello, how can I assist you today? It means our flow runs successfully. But let's do some changes. Here I just changed my OpenAI account. Now I will go back and I will now open chat and I will type hello. So here it show me the error that first of all check your credentials. Now what I will do, I will add another chat model here like as a backup. For that I have to click on AI agent. Here enable fallback model and now I will add fallback that is Anthropic AI. So here you can use another Anthropic chat model as a backup. So if first one get error, so you can use the Anthropic chat model second one. Here currently it's not able to run because you have to make sure that you have at least $5 of account in Anthropic chat model. So to use that. So if you pay that, you will get your API key and here in your select credential, create new credential. Here you can simply copy paste your API key and then you will get the access just like OpenAI chat model here. Then you can run successfully your uh, code or prompt with Anthropic chat model or any other backup model. So this was the fifth part. Now we will look for the sixth part. Hello. Now for the sixth error handling technique. First of all, we created this three. First, we will add schedule trigger. Make sure here trigger interval. You click on seconds and gap is 10. Then back to canvas. And you have to add HTTP request and other things. Now, what you have to do, you have to simply select on the plus workflow personal, and we will create a new workflow for you. That's I have already created. This too, then you have to add error trigger. Simply here you have to error trigger, search for it, and you have to add, and then Gmail and send a message. Here you have to add your email account, then here and message uh, in expression form. I will simply here write auto mail as gone error URL, and I will drag and drop here. Now for message, I will drag and drop the message here. Now I'll move back to Canvas, save it. Now in here, simply what I will do. Uh, I will first of all I will save this, go to settings. In this error workflow, I have to select my second. You can simply rename it by clicking on here. Now I will select it and save. Now what I will do here, I will simply, yeah. Before that, I have to do this. Now I will simply do some change. Now I will execute the work. So here we will see uh, the errors will show here, and for that I will click on Gmail. Also in here education, we can see the message that here at 8:15 we got our error, and simply here also in error box. So this was the video regarding how to handle each and every error. So this was the major six types of error that generally occur when you get involved in the end-to-end workflow automation. So you do not have to get afraid. There are, as we discussed, there are major six techniques, and these are the I think top six techniques to solve and handle the error. So step further in focusing on what is debugging and collaboration in learning. Learning how to actually find out why a node failed, how to inspect data at each step, and how to fix those issues quickly using n8n's built-in debugging tools. So by the end of this video, you will know how to visually track errors, understand node execution data, and confidently troubleshoot your workflow in real time. So let's get started. Now we will see what is debugging. So it's one of the most important steps while building automation workflows. Debugging simply means identifying and fixing any issues in your workflow. n8n provides with amazing visual tools that make it really simple to track what's happening inside each node and understand how data is moving through the workflow. So first of all, the most easiest debugging method is using the execution data panel. When you execute a workflow or a single node, n8n shows exactly what data entered the node and what come out of it. You can view JSON inputs and outputs, making it easy to identify whether things might be going wrong. For example, missing keys or maybe wrong formats or failed API responses. You can also toggle between nodes to trace how your data involves to the workflow. Now, next we have debug mode. This helps us trace each step as it runs. You can see the complete execution stack, which is super helpful to identify the exact node causing issues. If a node fails, n8n also displays a clear error message and step trace. For more advanced cases, we can even set up a dedicated error workflow which triggers automatically whenever any node fails, sending you notification and logging the error for future review. And this error handling technique, that is error workflow, that we have already discussed in the previous video, and that was our sixth one of the six major error handling technique, and it was the sixth one. So you can also watch that particular thing in the previous video. So now we will see some, and here finally we will see some best practices to keep your debugging process smooth. Always execute one node at a time while building, so issues are easy to isolate. Secondly, you use test or mock data to prevent affecting real systems. Thirdly, decide when to stop on error or continue on fail depending on your workflow's importance. And lastly, note your fixes and changes. This makes future debugging much faster. Debugging isn't about errors, it's about learning how your automation behaves. Now let's move further, and we have another powerful feature that is collaboration in n8n. So Automation is rarely a one-person job. We often build and maintain workflow as a team. So n8n uh, provides collaborative tools that let multiple users share, review, and manage workflows together with proper uh, access controls and versions management. In in n8n, you can manage collaboration through user management. You can invite teammates and assign them roles such as owner, editor, or viewer. This ensures only authorized members can make changes or run workflow. For example, editors can modify workflow while viewer can only monitor them, maintaining both flexibility and security. Second, collaboration also means sharing workflows efficiently. In Annotate, you can export any workflow as a JSON file and share it with teammates. They can easily import and start using it. In the enterprise edition, Annotate also provide version control so you can track changes over time, review edits, and even roll back to earlier versions if something breaks. So this makes teamwork more safer and more structured. So now to the close of, here are some best practices for team collaboration in Annotate. First is always maintain consistent naming conventions for workflows and nodes. This helps everyone understand the logic quickly. Use shared credentials very cautiously and store them securely. You can also keep documentation updated, describing what each workflow does and who manages it. And finally, review and test workflows together periodically to avoid dependency or logical issues. The team collaboration keeps automation transparent, safe, and scalable. So this was the two major features of Annotate, that is debugging and collaboration. Now we will see the live demo for debugging. So let's move to the screen. Now here I will going to explain you how debug works. So debug is just a very easy thing that is just let you know about how actually you can find your errors and what actually the kind of error is, and then they will let you know that how to solve it. So for that, I will select manual trigger. Then after I will go for HTTP request. Here I will type uh, URL and I will make a mistake. Now I will execute it. So it's showing error. Also, we can see what kind of error it is. Simply we just click here and here it's error details. We can see the kind of errors and all this. Now let's just recorrect it. Now we execute it. So it runs successfully. Now go back to canvas. Here in execution, you can see the whole history. Green showing that it's run successfully at this particular time. At this particular time, and red shows that at this point of time they were showing error. And you can also see uh, you can also see the particular node, how the node was actually at that time, and what was the mistake in it. So this was the thing for debugging. So this was the end of our beginner tutorial series. So in the next video, we will start our advanced course for the Anatan. Till then, stay safe. Thank you, and keep sharing and support this series. Thank you.
If you have any question or any doubt, feel free to ask in the comment section below. I will answer you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching. Bye and have a nice day.